A comprehensive plan is the community's vision for how they want to see their city look in 20 years.
A city needs an identity, and the identity is driven by the people. And so we need to figure out what this identity is or where we want it to be. So having a plan gives us an opportunity to discuss the state of the city and where we would like to go, and then formulate priorities and goals for where we want to be in the future.
The only way to really find out is to ask the community what they want to see the city be like in 20 years. So we have done that. We have sent out surveys. We've held public workshops in various areas of the city so that we reach more people, make it more convenient for them to come to some of those workshops and let us know what they think. We've started this program with a school outreach, which was a wonderful process. Those kids actually named our comprehensive plan. They did an outstanding job. We had a Mind Mixer website. We've had lots of media coverage, television and newspaper. We have a website, and we've had our steering committee, which has been invaluable in this process. As
a steering committee, I believe we have two primary roles. Both of these are working closely with our consultants, Ratio Architecture. One of our roles is simply to be a sounding board and provide feedback to them as they conduct their process in collaboration with the Burlington Planning Department. So they report everything they're working on, we give them feedback, guidance, and so forth. The other big role, I feel, is that we sort of provide an ethical layer to this process. We are representatives of the city. We are trying to distill what we value as a city and as a community. And so we tried to bring the local perspective to this planning process. The economic climate seems to be changing faster than it has before. A lot of people have been talking about Burlington being at an important crossroads in our history, one of many important crossroads. And to me, that gets at the idea that how do we be prepared to adapt and compete in this changing economic climate. Another big priority is economic development. Particularly related to the physical layout of the cities. Recent changes to annexation laws at the state level restrict our ability to spread horizontally. So a lot of the discussion has been about redeveloping our current areas and revitalizing some of our current corridors, while also still being flexible and very supportive of our business community and our entrepreneurs.
The current state of economic development in the city of Burlington, it really varies from your large-scale projects such as Honda Aero attached here to the Burlington Alamance Regional Airport and the Sheetz Distribution Center located nearby to even small businesses. We have a small committee that's worked on putting together some type of small business incentive that might involve infrastructure incentives and infrastructure improvements on the city's part, and it could possibly even involve some small cash grants. That's still being reviewed by the committee, so that's not really out there to be utilized yet, but it's something we're hoping to look at in the future. A couple of other areas where economic development has benefited the city of Burlington, as I mentioned earlier, the Sheetz Distribution Center. Golden Leaf Foundation money was granted to the city in order for a water line extension from Anthony Road back down to Highway 49. That enabled that facility to be constructed over there on that site, and it opens up some more area for industrial development. The Sheetz Distribution Center was actually was a small tract compared to the overall available land in that area. And the city of Burlington has a lot of available industrial land here in this area around the regional airport. The airport itself is a very important economic engine that we are lucky to have here in the city of Burlington, and we're proud to have it in our city limits today. Some other areas of economic development that are going on in the city, there's definitely been a revitalization in the downtown area over the past few years. I would say the Company Shops Market really anchored a lot of the beginnings of that, and now there's a major construction project at the corner of Front and Main. And I think everybody within the city is really excited to see what's going to come of that in the future. Some other important incentives that the City of Burlington has is the City Council can issue incentives on a case-by-case basis depending upon the project. The recent Kaiser Roth expansion out on Interstate Service Road near Highway 49 is a good example of that. They received council incentives several months ago, and they are currently underway with their second phase of expansion. So we're very excited about that in the city. That's jobs added and added tax base for us all. One other tool in economic development that Burlington has utilized is partnerships. Some of those partnerships have involved beautification efforts with the New Leaf Society. Part of the founding philosophy of the New Leaf Society by CEO of Glen Raven, Alan Gant, was to improve the appearance of the city of Burlington as an economic development tool to make the community more attractive, so when corporations and businesses from other areas of the country or the world come to Burlington, and they often do through the airport here, they see a beautiful community and they want to locate here, they want their employees to be here, and the employees want to be here and raise families here. So it's a very important tool with economic development. You want to attract that interest from employees, corporations, and their families for that matter as well. Other partnerships that have been utilized are with the Honda Aero project. The North Carolina Department of Transportation participated in some road improvements for that project, and there was a statewide initiative of partnership going on there.
Burlington Recreation and Parks basically was established in about 1936. That's the time that we developed as a department, and that was a pretty prominent time because it was during the Great Depression. And at that time, you know, activities were important to enhance the quality of life for folks who were going through those difficult times. So at that time, the city had allocated some funding to develop some of the programs within the department. And then in 1939, believe it or not, we had one of the first bond referendums that was approved for $19,000 to establish Burlington City Park. Times change, people's interests change. In our programming, we have changed as well, and we are adjusting to that change. The good thing about adjusting to the change is that gives us opportunities to be creative and form different types of partnerships throughout the community. Take a look at our areas of interest that we have already in the program and how some of those can be adjusted. And as you can see behind me, this is the future Glencoe Nature Center. And this effort and initiative would not be possible if it wasn't for the grassroots effort of the community coming together with this beautiful building, and the developer working with us to possibly develop this into the first nature center for the city of Burlington.
We've expanded a little bit in special events in the past couple years, and those have primarily been for our downtown events. We've added things like Active City Streets and our Fourth Fridays event. And those events are both done in partnerships with community organizations. For Active City Streets, we partner with about 7 different community organizations, and we are focusing on the health essentially of Alamance County. So that event really is centered around getting people out and being active here in downtown. And Fourth Fridays happens here in the depot, and it is really centered around just bringing our community out and giving them a good time with some good music, some good food, and some fellowship with our community. These events are to get people down here and help them remember that downtown Burlington is really a great place to be. The special events is something that we can't do on our own. We have great relationships with our community organizations, specifically with the Alamance County Arts Council. We partner with them on events like Willow Walk, as well as the haunted train that happens in City Park during our Halloween events. And they come in and really provide support for us to put on an event of that grandeur that we aren't able to do on our own, and they bring new life to it. Also, with our Fourth Friday events, we partner with the Burlington Downtown Corporation, and they do the same thing. It's just a great opportunity for us to reach out to the community and really get some support and some ideas that kind of help us take our events to the next level.
February of 2013, City Council approved a pedestrian plan which helps identify needed areas for sidewalks to improve pedestrian mobility. So those projects that were identified are scored based on different metrics. Some of those metrics include proximity to school, proximity to commercial areas, retail areas, as well as areas where there was a known worn footpath. So all those things come into play in terms of prioritizing those projects. Those projects get scored, and that's what the staff uses to communicate with council, identify which projects to do on an annual basis.
About 9 years ago, started looking at other forms of transportation besides the highway, and talking about the regions beside of us and around us that had options for transportation. So as a region, or as an NPO, we did a transit feasibility study. Really took apart the whole transit planning process, from routes to areas to looking at weekday service, looking at other areas in North Carolina that were similar to us, those that were larger than us, those that were smaller than us, and really getting a lot of examples of how public transportation could be implemented here.
With the new transit system, as we're planning for that, we're going to be looking at where the stop's going to be and what are the sidewalk needs to get to those stops. So there are obviously going to be some gaps where there's not sidewalk existing, where we're going to need to try to figure out how we're going to get sidewalk there.
20 years out, I would like to think that we would be advanced in transportation options, whether that be public transportation, bike and ped, highways, things of that nature. We are in the middle of a growing region between the Triangle and the Triad. Both of those areas have multiple options of ways to get around. The key for our area would not only be transportation inside, but how we get to other regions.
A successful transit system certainly provides for all socioeconomic needs across the city, all diversified areas, and so it's important that we have one that's in place.
Having a public transportation system that works, having a street system that works, having a bike and ped system that works, having a train depot here in our community is very important as well. Just different options and connections, so people that live here and may want to come here go, I feel comfortable. I have the options I need in my community.
In 2011, we entered into a contract with the Center of Public Safety Excellence out of Chantilly, Virginia, to do a study of our fire department and our responses to our city. What came out of that study essentially was that we had a section in the southwest portion of our city that was deficient as far as response times and coverage for our personnel. From the study, they developed one of the recommendations that came out of that was the construction of additional station in Burlington. So that's where we started the process of coming through and trying to locate a piece of property for Station 6.
The fire station is going to take up most of the site. We're going to have an entrance and an exit off of Bonner Bridge. The station has got good access to main highways and the interstate in case we had a major disaster that we needed to respond to. What we plan to do is connect the elementary school to the fire station with a sidewalk on Bonner Bridge so the elementary school students can come and visit the station and participate in educational activities with the firemen.
The mission of the Burlington Fire Department really is to be sure that we're providing the highest level of service to our citizens and keep our employees safe. We're always looking for ways to do that, whether it's through our applicant pool, providing a higher level of training for our employees, or locating a site somewhere in the city that will provide us a better service to be able to reach our customers each day.
We look to lose somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 officers between now and 2018. Those are primarily executive level officers, and there are also some supervisory level officers. This is due to retirements. We had an influx of officers in the mid to late 80s, and those officers are all coming up on retirement now, so they'll be leaving. And with that, we're working diligently to get the training to our staff to get them ready to take over these leadership positions.
The succession plan is to not only train people, but to identify and develop them first, who they are. And my job is to identify and develop, and I do that in conjunction with our sergeants during career development, during evaluation process, we identify potential leaders.
As far as our training, we do the leadership and management training constantly. We've sent a lot of people through this already, and we've got more slated to go in the very near future.
It's not only moving up the ladder because you're here, it's moving up the ladder because you have the potential and you have the leadership qualities.
You can see the leaders at the lowest ranks, and we work with them, especially when they show the interest in this type of training, when they step up on their shifts and take leadership roles no matter what their rank is on the specific calls, or in the office when they step up and take the leadership roles when things need to be done. They're the ones that are always stepping up and doing those. Those are the people that we send to this training. As far as our recruitment plan, we've got a lot of things in place with that plan. We get out into the community. We've got 125 sworn officers and somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 70 civilian, full-time and part-time, that every one of those are recruiters.
Currently, we have a 90% participation rate in going to recruiting affairs, also job fairs that are put on by colleges, university, and some that are just in the community.
We've also re-implemented our ride-along program. We go out and advertise this everywhere we go, and push the word out to get these folks to come in and ride along with an officer. Even if they don't have it in their mind that they want to one day become a police officer, it shows the citizens and the public in Burlington what the life of a police officer is.
I currently serve as a school resource officer, also as a DARE officer, getting that, involvement, starting at a young age, it helps keep the kids or the young folks, on a good path. We've actually had, students who have attended the Junior Police Academy, or a student who attended and actually became a police officer.
Our officers are so proud to work here, and our civilian staff are so proud to work here that when they talk in the community about how great our agency is, it just brings people in, and that's what we're looking for. We definitely want to have our agency reflect the community with which we work, and we're working very hard to get to that point.
Community policing is building a partnership within the community. It's a collaborative effort to fight crime that's going on in the neighborhood. If there's a particular area that's having problems with one particular type of crime, it's a way that the police department and the citizens can work together in solving that issue to combat that problem. It's a lot different from traditional policing, because traditional policing was mostly the police department coming in and solving the issue. With community policing, it's a collaborative effort. Both parties involved in it has a stake in the issue. We need the citizens to help solve crime. We want the citizens to feel safe in the neighborhood. We want the citizens to get to know us. We got to have that transparency. So we want to get them involved in everything that we try to do at the police department.
It's important that we kind of get an idea about where we are today compared to the past. And I ran across some pictures the other day of our communication center that were taken in 1986, and it really puts into perspective where we've traveled, so to speak, over time, the technology that we used then in 1986 when we first opened this building that we're in now, to where we're at today. Some of the technology that we're using today in the way that we work with crime prevention and in crime investigations. What we're seeing is a trend of more databases available to us and cloud-based systems that we're utilizing. So some of the technologies that we're testing right now includes body-worn cameras, and we've just purchased a few of those cameras to go ahead and get some within the department and to be able to have access to for certain needs that we may have pre-planned events for. But we're continuing to look into the technology of body-worn cameras. "20
years from now, Burlington Recreation and Parks I believe our community would say that we truly have an awesome Recreation and Parks Department, because you know what, we hear that now.
Every community is changing, the society is changing and their views of law enforcement, but I think that some things that are going to stay the same for the Burlington Police Department would be the professionalism.
20 years from now, I would hope that other agencies around the state have the opinion of the Burlington Police Department that we're cutting edge, that we're using technology as it's coming out or as quickly as possible. It allows us to, and that we are leading the way for other departments to follow.
We are on a major interstate. We are in very close proximity to multiple major urban markets. We are in the heart of an emerging mega region in the United States, which is predicted to be one of the highest economic and population growth centers in the world. We have an abundance of water resources, abundance of recreation resources, and we have a lot of good people. So if we look at these assets we have, Burlington's in a very strong position. And it's just a matter of can we evolve to compete in this changing economic